It's Wednesday, September 27th, and we're going to do a checkup on our regular investments, starting with Bitpetite, Chain Group, and BitConnect. And we're also going to continue our lesson on stock options. And this time, I'm going to give you some live examples in the live stock options market with Apple. All that coming right up. The name of the game is compounding. You're either making it or you're paying. Lucky for you, you get to follow my trades. Let's make some money. What's going on, everybody? DJ Nadie here, and welcome to Passive Profits, a series where I share the progress of my passive income investments and review new and upcoming investment programs so together we can make some money. So as I mentioned, we're going to do a checkup of our regular investments and see how everything's coming along. And so far, everything has been smooth. It's definitely a great feeling to know that you guys are appreciating the content that I'm doing here every day. So if you continue to appreciate it, please leave that like and leave a comment, as that keeps me in great spirits every day and excited to come back and continue to make these videos for you every single day. Okay, so here's a snapshot of the portfolio. We're in BitConnect, which brings us around 30% per month. And with that, we'll be paying off our mortgage each and every month. Down here, we have Bitpetite, which has been going really good for us. And that's a 6-week program, and we'll be making 47% profit over that 6-week period. Up here we have a Chain Group, which we're making between 60 to 70% on that, and that's been going really good. And for that, we're going to be using to pay off our utility bills, which is going to be awesome. And a new program which I'm testing out right now and getting to know is called Coinreum, and this could potentially be a match for Bitpetite. So in other words, a platform to spread your risk across. But as I mentioned, I just jumped in and I'm getting to know the platform as we speak. So here's another look at the risk versus reward graph. Questra, not looking too good on a 6-month chart because it takes 200 days to actually get your money back. And here we have BitConnect, which if you do a 5K loan, you get the initial investment back at the end of the 6 months. So the way it works is the break-even point is 100 days. After that, you're working with all profits, and you can see a total of about 180% profit with that altogether. Here we have Bitpetite, which has been doing really good for us. In order to match Bitpetite with the other programs, it takes around 4 6-week plans, and actually adding just a 5th plan to actually match 180 days exactly. But as a rough estimate, you make 1.12% per day. And after the 57th day, you're playing completely with house money. And at the end of the 6 months, you're going to make 201% profit. Here at the end of the list, we have the Chain Group with the Dragon or the BitStrong plan. They're averaging around 2.5% per day. So at the 40-day mark, you've actually made your profit back, and the remainder of the 6 months, it's all profit, up to 350%. So that's been rocking. Take note also of the red bar that we have here. This is what we consider to be the risk level between all of these. So as you would expect, the greater the gain, the greater the risk, with Dragon having the highest risk of them all. If you'd like to mirror what we're doing here at Passive Profits, the links and full reviews for each of these is in the description below. On with the updates. So starting off with our platform here at BitConnect, looks like we've got a $100 gain roughly over a 2% day, which was amazing for BitConnect. So with $10 that was floating around in there, I think that might be affiliate money. And the $100, we've got $111.81 altogether. For that, because it's so cumbersome, I'm gonna let it sit for one more day before I do a withdrawal. So we'll be doing that likely tomorrow. Moving over here to Chain Group, it looks like we had yet another day above $35. That makes it 3 days back to back, which is amazing. And we'll definitely be making up for the slumpy days we had back here on the 15th through the 17th to meet the $30 a day that we're looking to meet at the end of the month. Now, the plan here is to get between 25 and 30 bucks a day to get between maybe $700 or $800 a month. And with that, we're going to be paying off the utility bills here at my house. Now, as you hear me say that in our series, if you're new to this channel, we don't gamble our mortgage, rent money, or utilities money in any of these programs, nor do we recommend anyone do such a thing. This is money that you would set aside just for investment purposes. And as a bonus, the profits from such an investment could potentially pay off your bills, and you can live for free for 6 to 12 months like I am now. So here we're going to do our daily withdrawal. And as usual, we'll paste in the address just for the utility bills, and we'll send 32 bucks over to that address, and wham, there it is right there in the pending bin. Usually takes an hour at the most during the daytime for them to clear the payment. So let's go ahead and do the remaining balance to a separate address I created, which I'm storing in a separate address for the property taxes here in New York, which are astronomical. So there's the address. We'll hit all right there, so it calculates automatically, and wham, there they are together. 2 pending transactions. Like I said, anywhere between 10-15 minutes to an hour, depending on the time of day. If it's midnight their time or anything like that, it will be overnight. But nevertheless, they've always been really good here at Chain Group. The programs that we're in here at Chain Group is this one here called BitStrong and this one here called Dragon. So it looks like BitStrong has been having some ridiculously good days, which is why I've been seeing the extra gains. So that's really good for them. The 25th, the 26th, and 27th have all been above 3%. As you see back here, when the market tanked the other day, they had some really slumpy days. So they're making up for it now with some big gains, so that's awesome. Looks like they're going strong as ever. Dragon has been doing great as well. What I like about Dragon is that it's pretty steady. Almost every day is somewhere between, as you see here, 2.2 to maybe 2.9. 2 weeks back and prior, they were actually scoring a little bit higher than that, but I'm okay if they stay in that range, in that mid 2 point something % mark going forward. Moving on to Bitpetite. Now we're at 3250 of our 3908 investment. So we're getting closer and closer to that 100% mark. Once we reach 100%, we technically have our money back in our pocket. And then from that point to the end of the 6-week period, we'll see our 47% gain. And that's going to be very, very exciting. I'm also actively marketing these platforms on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm going to be upping my marketing there because it's been a success. Many of you have asked me for advice regarding marketing on social media for some of these platforms. But my stance is you should walk before you run. In other words, the people who have asked me haven't yet built a following or haven't yet proved to themselves that they're able to create videos per se that people want to sign up and join up and things like that. So that's what I suggest first. Before you spend any money, see if your videos are working for you, even if it's on a smaller scale. Because if they don't work on a smaller scale, they're certainly not going to work on a bigger scale. And what's going to happen is you're just going to be out of some money. Trust me, I've been there before. I try to force it, throw a lot of dollars at marketing, and it just won't work if you do it that way. All right, so now we'll do our daily withdrawal, and we'll click on the withdraw button, and boom, boom, and double beep came in right away, just as expected with Orem Bank. With Bitpetite, as usual, their payments come in instantly. I think they have a super connection to the blockchain because their payments come through almost immediately. And last but not least, as I mentioned, I'm trying out this new platform here called Coinreum. It says here 3.2% for a 50-day period, which is a 60% return on your money. So that really breaks down to around 1.2% profit per day. So it's very similar to Bitpetite, where they include a portion of your capital along with your profit each day. So at the end of the 50 days, we'll have 160%. And I think it might be a good companion to add to the portfolio because it is comparable to a Bitpetite, but we're able to spread our investment across a few platforms, which is something I always recommend. So at the moment, I have a $2,000 investment here. My gains for today haven't posted yet, but I'll keep you guys posted. And for those of you that like to bungee jump and skinny dip and maybe skydive, you're welcome to jump in if you'd like. The link is in the description, but I still have this in trial mode per se as I get used to the platform and the company as a whole. So yesterday we went into some basics about options, basically what options are and what their common uses are. And today I just want to go a little bit deeper into some of the details about options. Probably the most important thing is that there are two types of options. There's a call option and there's a put option. The call option it's an option that would go up in value as the stock or the cryptocurrency goes up in value. And a put is just the opposite. A put goes up in value if the underlying goes down. So it's kind of like an insurance. And that's probably the most common use for a put option is if you own the stock itself, you can actually buy a put option for a small fraction. If the stock starts to go against you, the put's value goes up and you can cash that out if you want and sell it on the market and make that money and still hold on to the stock itself, right? Or sell the stock and the put at the same time and it pretty much will wash some of your losses. So those are the two different types of options. As you see them here, the two types of options are puts and calls. Call options confers the buyer the right to buy the underlying stock, while put options give him the right to sell them. Now, I don't want to confuse you with that, because that was what I was so massively confused when I was trying to learn about options. It's like, how can you sell something that you don't own? And it's like, I don't want to get into that right now. I just want to keep it simple. But it's essentially buying and selling. And again, get that out of your head for now. Later on, when the time comes, we'll get into that, because that's what's strange about options is you're able to sell something that you don't even have possession of. It's like, how is that possible? But again, we'll get into that when the time is right. Strike price. Strike price means it's just the price of the option itself that you're buying it at. You're going to see in an example coming up. The strike price is usually depends on the underlying itself. It could be in $5 increments or whatever the case may be. Here they describe it as the strike price is the price at which the underlying asset is to be bought or sold when the option is exercised. So in my example yesterday, as I described it, that piece of paper that your employer gives you, right? The right to buy the Apple stock at $55, that's the strike price. And if it goes up $10, the strike price is what you can buy it at with that piece of paper. Premium is just another word for the price of the actual option itself, the expiration date. Every option, at least in the stock market and in the futures, they have an expiration date. They're not good forever and ever and ever. They have a date of which after that, you can't use it anymore. In other words, you just can't, you've lost the option to buy. And there's some other stuff here, but I don't want to get into too many of those right now. What I do want to do is show you guys an example in the actual market right now, because the market is still open at the time of this video. The market in New York closes at 4 p.m. So in order for us to capture movements and see live pricing, we need to be in before 4 o'clock, or at least long before it, because after 4 o'clock, you can still open the software, but all the prices go out of whack. Everything is pretty much not the same anymore when it comes to options, because everything just pretty much shuts down. So here we are with Apple. Apple's currently at 154.6. And again, we're using stocks as an example, but ultimately we're going to go back over to the crypto world. But it's best for you to learn someplace and learn the fundamentals of this at one centralized place. So you all know Apple. Apple is a lot of people's favorite company for the iPhone and all these other devices. So as I said, today they are at 154. So here's the scenario. So if you have 100 shares of Apple, that's going to cost you $15,000, right? It's 150 bucks times 100. So let's just round it off and say that Apple's currently at 155. So if Apple moves up $5 and you have 100 shares, well, that's 100 times 5. That's $500 that you made, all right? So that's about a 3.5% gain, actually around, just over 3% gain on your money. Now, if you have the stock option, as in this case here, the 155, okay, this is what's called at the money, all right? I'm not gonna get too much into the technicalities yet, but I'm just gonna keep it real simple and surface. This one has what they call a delta of 0.5, and all that means is for every dollar that the stock moves, the price of the option will move half of that, 50%. Okay, so that's what delta is. But we're gonna get into that. Those are called the Greeks. We'll get into that later on, okay? But I'm gonna keep it surface. You could usually use the prices between the options to get a rough idea of how much the price of the option would move if the stock itself moved that many points. So as you see, from 150 to 155, the price is roughly almost $3. Now here's what's important about option pricing. Option pricing is per underlying stock. So because an option controls 100 shares, every price that you see here is times 100. So in the case here of this at the money one, it's $550, so that's really $550. All right, so back to the example from before. If Apple goes from 155 to 160 and you have $15,000 invested into it by owning the actual stock, you're up 500 bucks. Here, you could invest $550, okay, for the option, and it'll go up roughly, maybe a little less than $300, but you've only invested $550. So how much are you up there, right? If you own the stock, you'd be up maybe 3%. Here, you're up almost 40% on the money you have invested, right? You had $550, now you have a $300 profit on that $550. So that's why trading options is so seductive and it's so interesting for many people, because you can control and make a lot more money per small moves for every dollar that you invest. You don't need 15 grand, and like, it's such a waste of time. $15,000 locked into an Apple stock just to make 3% if it makes a massive $5 move. it's a waste, right? It's a big waste. It's just not, especially considering us from the crypto world that we're used to much better gains than that, it would be a waste. But when it comes to options, you can make those type of big gains in just a smaller amounts of moves. So as you see here, this is the price if you buy at that particular strike price. I'm not going to get into in the money, out of the money. That's the name of those terms. We'll get into that a little bit later. They're not necessarily really needed right now. You could pretty much play the options game by just buying at the money. And if it goes up, you are likely going to be in the same amount of profit as you see from the option before. Now, there are other moving parts. There's other stuff. There's time decay if it takes too long. There's all these other stuff. So I'm trying to simplify it and not confuse you guys too much. If it happened within the same day, that would likely be the move you would see. So this 550 could turn into $8 something, or times 100 would be $800 something. You turn around, you sell it on the market, and you make that profit. Okay, so that is why using options is such an amazing thing, and options are available for the crypto market, so you don't have to have 100 Bitcoins in order to participate in the moves of Bitcoin times 100. You could actually use them in options, but we're gonna get into that also a little bit later and down the road. That's it for today's updates. Again, if you're enjoying the videos and the content that I'm bringing you daily, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and give me that thumbs up and leave a comment as well. I'm very friendly and I'm active in the comments. I like to have conversations with each and every one of you because I'm grateful for all of you. This is DJ Nate D signing out. Peace.